There are an almost infinite amount of ways that they've tried to enslave humanity, because the architects of the Matrix know the secrets of the absolute, and they know the power of the human beings. They know that we have what the Gnostics called the spark within us, the ability to awaken the sleeping Kundalini, which is the fire that Prometheus stole from the gods to give to humanity. We have the ability to become 9 billion times more powerful than them, especially on a collective level, if we can get our heads out of our asses, exercise the demons out of ourselves, and recalibrate our inner compasses so we can start caring about what's actually important in life. We can then come together through a collective effort and fight against our enemy, which we heavily outnumber. Now, it's going to become more and more difficult to strategize or create strategies around the control grid, the kill grid, if we don't come together now and start putting our heads together and figuring ways around these technologies, the directed energy weapons, all the different implemented technologies that are being used to suppress humanity. And it's the school system, it's technology, it's food. There's a lot of things. But the longer we wait and the more we dick around and play around with the reality television and act like everything's okay, even though inside our mind, we're just going, everybody knows that something's wrong here, folks. Time to wake up. But the more we play around and just turn a blind eye at evil, the more time we lose. We have a very short window of time, ladies and gentlemen, to create massive change here in this world. It starts with ourselves. Hydrate yourselves. Get the minerals back into your system, ladies and gentlemen. Uplift your tissues. Get right with God. Start doing the energy gathering techniques. I'm going to have a lot of free time in the next 2 weeks. So I'm going to go out in nature and record a bunch of videos. I'm going to talk to you guys about energy gathering and how to start doing it so that you can bring in more energy into your system. The Matrix keeps us in a state where we're constantly bleeding out our energy reserves. So as an alchemist, as an individual who's interested in becoming healthier, you have to realize that you're losing energy, and then you have to find a way to patch the holes that the energy is leaking out of and gather more energy and then hold on to it. The acquisition of power is a direct byproduct of the accumulation of more energy. Again, the acquisition of more power, ladies and gentlemen, is a direct byproduct of the accumulation of stored energy. And you store and accumulate energy from the world around you. We have a symbiotic connection to the world around us. We just don't know that because we've spent our entire life inside, indoors, doing God knows what. This is how the Matrix works. They take us out of nature that doesn't have a roof, and they put us in a box, and we live in this box, and it's surrounded by. I'm not even going to get into it. But in nature is a giant energy blanket, ladies and gentlemen. If you know how to gather energy, you can start storing energy from trees, from the shrubs, from animals, even from clouds in your energetic body, and growing in strength. Don't try to tell me that this is just pseudoscience or bogus, or it is just totally bogus. The Taoists have been doing this for hundreds and hundreds of years, ladies and gentlemen. Taoist alchemy is largely, I don't want to say that. We'll get into it. I will recommend a book, however, if you're interested. Get a book called The Complete System of Self-Healing by Dr. Stephen Chang, and then get John Kreider's book, Overcoming the Archon Through Alchemy. Start doing the in polarity, which is a chapter in Overcoming the Archon Through Alchemy. Just what I do is I go outside and I literally stand in my backyard and breathe energy from the hills around me and the clouds and the trees right through my mouth into what I call my cosmic sphere, or what John Kreider calls the cauldron, or what the ancient Chinese Taoists call the Great Pearl. We are a vampire of sorts, ladies and gentlemen. We are designed to gather energy from the world around us. I know that's not particularly a pretty term to use, but vampires feed on outside sources to keep themselves alive. That's what we do as humans, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to become the enlightened vampire. That's why I also recommend reading John Kreider's book, The Vampire's Way. That's a beautifully written book. It's very short. It's easy to read. You can read it in a day. It's about utilizing and feeding on your own negative energy. It is the most effective psychic energy self-defense tool that I've ever used or come across. It's called Vampire's Way by John Kreider. It's a little red book. I bought it in digital and in hard copy. But we're a vampiric species, ladies and gentlemen. We are designed to gather energy through from the outside world, or from the world around us. What's really interesting, however, is that if you've taken my work seriously and you started doing the inner temple exercise, ladies and gentlemen, what you can start to do, and I don't think I've ever talked about this, is you can go into your inner temple, and once you develop a relationship with the 4 elements by working with the 4 elemental gateways inside the inner temple, air, fire, water, and earth, you can invoke each of the elements into your inner temple around the sacred pool, your subconscious mind in the inner temple, and breathe the pure, unfiltered, raw, divine elemental energy from the 4 elemental gateways right into your system. And this was a technique that I mimicked or created, trying to mimic the techniques that Tahuti used in the Halls of Amenti to regenerate every cell in his body. For those who don't know, the Halls of Amenti are it's a realm within a particular region of the hollow earth where the heart of the earth resides, according to the Egyptians. The heart of the earth is a giant flower of life. So it's too complicated to get into, and I don't want to right now, ladies and gentlemen, but it's like the core of, excuse me. According to Tahuti, in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, the Doriel version, I believe it was, if my memory serves me properly, he talks about there being a giant energy reserve within the Halls of Amenti, which is kind of like a physical, it's a dimensional wavelength within the earth that we according to him can travel into, and we can sit in front of this energy source and regenerate our bodies. And that's according to Tahuti, if my memory serves me properly. I believe it was Tahuti, where he would go in, or who is also known as Thoth or Thoth, went by multiple names, but it was said, I believe, in that book, that he would sit before this flower of life or this energy source, and it would reanimate his body with life force, and that's how he could essentially live forever. I know this may sound kind of crazy and whatnot, and I can understand why, but after my Kundalini experiences, ladies and gentlemen, I know that anything's possible. I'm not saying that I necessarily believe that story from the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, but it wouldn't surprise me if there was a region of the earth where we could actually travel to and regenerate our bodies completely. I think that the Ascended Masters have probably been doing this for thousands of years, but I tried to mimic that ideology for the inner temple exercise. You go into your inner temple, and after a while of getting to know all of the elements, you start to actually breathe them into your system, into your inner, from the confine, or from the comfort of your own inner temple. And let me tell you, when you start doing that, ladies and gentlemen, you start to gather massive amounts of energy. So what I like to do is I go outside and I do the in polarity. I gather energy from my feet, from my hands, through visualization from the world around me. Again, from trees, from the ground, from rocks. I'm super into energy gathering techniques. But I also will go into my inner temple in my meditations and contact the elements through my subconscious and breathe and invite those healing energies into every single cell of my body. So I'm also going to start doing this, ladies and gentlemen, while under red light, which is highly rejuvenating. I'm going to talk about the health benefits of red light in the near future, but I'm currently in the process of designing a light regeneration chamber that you can sit in while you meditate and do these type of techniques, these inner temple techniques. I'm trying to mimic the technologies of the Halls of Amenti. I hope that makes sense. I'm kind of babbling at this point, ladies and gentlemen, but we don't have to have these boring lives. We don't have to be slaves. Get out there, gather some energy, have fun, go on an adventure. Your life is an adventure. Start drinking the potions, work with the minerals, get the Shilajit back into your system. But red light therapy, if you've never looked that up, ladies and gentlemen, check it out. It's pretty interesting. I've used red light therapy in the past with a lot of some pretty interesting results that I'll talk about. But currently in the process of making a regeneration pod kind of set up in the corner of my office here in Virginia, that utilizes light therapy, sound therapy, and it's kind of like a vessel that you sit in with organite and crystals while you do your inner temple exercises, and it's designed to connect you to the 4 elements and completely regenerate your body, with lodestones and shungite as well, ladies and gentlemen. So there's so many things that we can begin doing. There's so many advanced technologies that we can tap into. There's so many avenues of our minds that we haven't explored yet that if we make contact with, will show us completely different sides of our personalities and who we are and how much power we have. We need to get right with God, ladies and gentlemen, and we need to consume the real foods. You want to get right with God? Start consuming God's foods. Stop thinking that every time you eat, it has to taste like ice cream. So many people will refuse to consume things like spirulina and the chaga mushrooms and the medicinal foods because it doesn't taste good. Your taste buds have been completely terraformed, in your gut microbiome, due to how much garbage food you've eaten your entire life, has recolonized your entire system so that you actually crave garbage foods. And it's all tied in with an overarching presence of parasites within your blood, within your gut microbiome, within your system. Most people have leaky gut. Most people have small intestinal bacteria overgrowth, also known as SIBO. Most people are in a chronic state of acidosis. It's really hard to break free from the shackles of the matrix when we're stuck in these parameters, ladies and gentlemen. It's very difficult to break free from the shackles of the matrix when we're stuck in these parameters, when our pH is all out of alignment, when our health is not in alignment. And health, ladies and gentlemen, true health is homeostasis. What is homeostasis? Homeostasis is when you've reached balance. What is balance? True balance is when the metabolic processes in your system are functioning the way they were designed to function. True health is when the fluids, the lymphatic fluids, your blood, etc., in your system are in a state of health the way that God designed them to be, not polluted and filled full of extracellular waste and all this garbage. True health and true balance is when your cells are all healthy, all 100 trillion plus cells, all 100 trillion plus cells that you harbor within your system. You are a giant colony of cells, and each of your cells, ladies and gentlemen, are little solar systems. They are incredibly complex. They have little organelles inside of them. Organelle means little organs. Each one of your cells has a colony of living intelligences within them. Things like lysosomes, things like genetic material, DNA, mitochondria. You want to get healthy, you start with minerals and working on getting the mitochondria to breathe properly, to work properly. They're the engines of your cells, folks. Man, there's so many different ways. Balance is just when you balance essentially is when your body and your mind are the way that God designed them to be, when they're functioning the way God designed them to be. And that's complete peace, ladies and gentlemen. There's not supposed to be a war inside your body and all this acidosis and, small intestinal bacteria overgrowth, the proliferation of parasites and all this nonsense. We're designed to be at peace. We came here to experience the intense non-causal joy and bliss of God's love. And that happens through the Kundalini rising. But we're so far from that, it's not even funny. We need to cleanse ourselves. There's so many different ways that, there's so many ways to begin getting healthy. You could, for instance, get some of the coated silver from Symbiotica for $120, a 3-month supply, and take a drop of that a day for the next 15 to 30 days. That's going to go into your system. It's going to broom your system of pathogens. It's going to help get rid of the bacteria in your system. I'm currently on about 2 to 3 drops a day. And I am doing, after about 2 weeks of doing about 1 drop a day, sometimes I would take 2 or 3. I'm now taking about 3 a day, and I am making massive amounts of progress, ladies and gentlemen. Don't waste your time. Don't get left behind. Work with the alchemical tools that we have access to, and the alchemical tools are the super herbs, the medicinal mushrooms, the silvers, the colloidal metals that God produces. Colloidal things like colloidal gold, things like colloidal silver, even things like colloidal platinum are really interesting. I'm not recommending that any of you do this stuff. I'm just telling you The precious metals especially I find very interesting. But Shilajit, ladies and gentlemen, is a really interesting place to start. But hopefully at this point, you're doing a handful of things for your health. I'm in no way, shape, or form here to tell you that you're wrong for the way that you go about taking care of your health. The way that you go about taking care of your health. You know, some people work with algae, some people work with barks, some people work with seeds, some people work with a handful of different things. Some people only work with certain diets, or whatever you're doing. Keep up the good work, ladies and gentlemen, but always never subscribe to the idea that your way is just the only way. Integrate new techniques, integrate new foods. Always look to grow and try new things, because the mind loves that. The mind loves to grow. When you give the mind parameters, when you put the mind into a box, it has a tendency to reach stasis. Stasis is when things just... Thought I just heard something knock on the door. Stasis, ladies and gentlemen, is when there's a lack of flow. It's akin to or similar to stagnation in a river. And what happens when a river dams or experiences stagnation? The water starts to proliferate with bacteria. The algae come, the bugs come, the fish die. We need flow, we need oxygen, we need minerals. Just like a river. And we especially need God in our lives, ladies and gentlemen. We're not just these insignificant satellites wandering around, aimlessly without a purpose. We came here with a purpose. We have to find that purpose. Oh, man. God is so absolutely important. And it's so absolutely neglected. Now, I myself, I'm not a mainstream Christian. I do follow the Jesus Christ energy. Excuse me, folks. Bear with me. I'm going to pause really quickly. All right, guys. So continuing. However, I just got a alert on my phone. I'm going to have to respond to this email. Something came up, but like I was saying, I follow the Jesus Christ energy. I do so from a Gnostic perspective. I've made videos in the past talking about Gnosticism, and I'll continue to in the near future. But Gnosticism, ladies and gentlemen, essentially, there's so many different interpretations of it, and that's an unfortunate truth. But Gnosis is the process of attaining higher states of consciousness so that we can understand God, so we can get to know God. It's much more complicated than that, and that's kind of a bad definition, but through gnosis or enlightenment, we can understand the truth of reality. We can come closer to God. I wanted to personally thank you for watching my videos and contributing to the growth of my channel. I could not do this without you, and your interest in my content is truly what motivates me and fuels my passion for making these videos and spreading my message. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. I wanted to remind you that this channel is a free educational tool that is listener supported. And if you would like to donate to my channel and donate to my cause, help make my life a little bit easier and help keep the lights on around here, you can do so by checking out the links in the description box below. There's a handful of not only ways to donate to my channel, but I also have links to different websites and different videos of mine, as well as my Amazon store, where you can check out a plethora of different health-related products that I use and recommend. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your continued interest in my message, and until next time, peace be with you all.